2021 City Council meeting for the City of Lamar. I'm Mayor Kirk Crespin. We do have a very full agenda tonight. We have quite a few items on the agenda, and it looks like we have some individuals in the audience as well that would like to speak to the council. So with that said, we'll move on and we'll try to make this very quick in the evening so we can get everything taken care of. Let's start off with the invocation with Jeff Alexander. Thank you.
Our Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight because you are God and you are the ruler of the universe. You made it all, and Lord, you have placed us here. I do pray tonight for the council as they have this large agenda to accomplish. We need your grace. We need mercy. Lord, we need direction. We need wisdom and clarity in many items. I pray for those who have real concerns in our community, that those concerns could be answered in a way that would honor you and bring righteousness to our land and to our community. Father, I pray your blessing now and ask, Lord, for guidance in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Oscar, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the time is now 7:02. I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Anne Marie Crampton. Here. Daniel Smith.
Here.
Oscar Riley.
Here.
Kurt Crespin.
Here.
Jerry Jenkins.
Here.
Rafael Rodriguez.
Here.
Joe Gonzalez.
Here.
Steve Kill.
Here.
Mr. McRae. Here. Lance Park.
Here. Okay, we've all had an opportunity to review the consent agenda, which included the minutes for the last meeting and other items. Do we have any questions on those?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Any final questions? Okay, we're going to try our new system here. So we'll start with all those in favor signify by saying aye and select your option.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. See everybody, and Jerry's not here, so Jerry, your vote?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. Okay, just making sure, we do have a new voting system in today. This is the first time we're using it, so there's a little bit of a learning curve as we get to use it. But in the past, we had a very old analog box for our voting system. Now it's with the remotes and through the laptop, so it'll display it on the webpage so that the viewers can also see that as well. So just to give you some background on what we're trying to accomplish today, there may be some little stumbles as we go, but we'll get through it tonight. So moving on, the next item on the agenda is the public comments area. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any subject that does not appear on the agenda. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and it's also at the discretion of the council. Is there anybody who would like to speak to the council this evening? Okay, we do have a few people. As you come up, please state your name and provide your address for the record.
I'm Barbara Hernandez, 8305 Surrey Ridge Court. Lamar.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Now, I'd like to note, first of all, that I did ask to be on the agenda. I left a couple of messages with Steve Kill and one with Linda. So I would like to note that because I would like to have a little more than 3 minutes. Might take 3 minutes just to read this.
Okay.
But I know you guys have all received a copy of this and I'd like to read it out loud. Can you hear me?
We should be able to.
Okay.
Martha, are we good?
Okay. Just to make sure we all know what's being proposed here. This is a declaration about declaring a sanctuary city, Lamar a sanctuary city declaration, reasserting the rights of the city of Lamar, Colorado, and its residents, and condemning the unconstitutional limitations imposed upon their freedoms by the governor of Colorado. A declaration of sanctuary city for the city of Lamar, henceforth to be a sanctuary city protected from all executive orders and mandates from all state and federal agencies that conflict with the United States Constitution. Whereas all businesses, places of worship, and governmental meetings are essential to the exercise of individuals' fundamental rights. And it is discriminatory and sometimes irrational for the governor of Colorado to treat some, but not all, establishments with preference by labeling them as essential. And whereas the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution states, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. And whereas individual citizens and groups have constitutionally protected rights of free speech, free assembly, and freedom to petition for redress of their grievances. And the legal case to that was Edwards versus South Carolina. Whereas we declare that the Constitution of the United States will be in perpetuity recognized as the highest legal authority in the state of Colorado, and that authority will prevail over any other governing authority, foreign law or culture or instruction or any statute or ordinance that conflicts with the Constitution of the United States in perpetuity. And whereas the Colorado Constitution in the Colorado Bill of Rights, Article 2, Section 24, the right to assemble and petition declares the people have the right peaceably to assemble for the common good and to apply to those invested with the powers of government for redress of grievances by petition or remonstrance. And whereas we, the people, were deprived of our right to free and fair elections from 2002 to 2021.
So do we want to extend the time for this to continue to read this, or?
I would like to hear the whole thing.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right, just making sure. Or is the rest of the council good with that? Go for it.
I received a copy of it and I read it already, so I just feel that the council wants to hear it. I'm good.
We
I'll
declare.
restart it in another 3 minutes if
Okay.
you can.
We declare in perpetuity the elimination of all technological or electronic or by satellite voting systems from our country and decree a return to tried and true paper ballot systems only. Voter monitoring of all election processes, valid voter registration requirements, the recession of law allowing universal mail-in balloting, etc. Whereas the Constitution of Colorado, Article 2, Section 3 states all persons have natural, essential, and inalienable rights, among which may be reckoned the right of enjoying and defending their lives and liberties, of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and of seeking and obtaining their safety and happiness. And whereas the government is only lawfully permitted to regulate the time and manner of public gatherings in the interest of public safety, peace, comfort, or convenience. There's a legal case there noted. And peaceably assembly for lawful discussion cannot be made a crime. The holding of meetings for peaceable political action cannot be prescribed. And there's another legal case there. Whereas we are greatly concerned that the governor of the state of Colorado is unilaterally issuing mandate after mandate, restricting many of the freedoms and liberties guaranteed by the United States and Colorado Constitution, with little or no input from our state legislature and minimal oversight by our state courts, which pride themselves as supposedly being the final guardians of these freedoms and liberties. Whereas the governor of Colorado, through improper executive orders, has restricted free commerce and has instituted excessive fines and or sanctions in businesses unable to or unwilling to enforce unlegislated orders upon customers. And whereas if any requirement is found to be unconstitutional or in conflict with our state and or the United States Constitution, then such requirements will be deemed null and void and will not be implemented or enforced nor will any fines be enacted against the people of Lamar. Whereas the members of this city council took an oath to support and defend the United States Constitution, the Constitution of the state of Colorado, and the laws of the state of Colorado, and by implication, question the constitutionality of the governor's executive orders or mandates that infringe upon these constitutional rights. Whereas we, the council and the city of Lamar, declare from this time henceforth to be a sanctuary city, protected from all executive orders and mandates from all state and federal agencies that conflict with the United States Constitution. We further declare that all businesses, places of worship, schools, and government meetings in the city of Lamar are to be deemed essential with the freedom to choose to be fully open. All citizens shall have every constitutional right restored and take back full responsibility to decide their own actions in regard to their health, work, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Since the public has been consistently harmed with egregious and unremitting losses of employment, business, home, medical choice, freedom of speech, the right to peaceably assemble, the right to practice their religion without government interference, and have been physically restrained without due process of law, without compensation for the law of use of right to property and to contract to work, and who have not given their consent to be governed contrary to and in conflict with the United States Constitution and the Colorado Constitution for over 12 months without respite from unconstitutional, frivolous, and illegal executive orders from the governor of Colorado and his administrative unelected officials, process and procedures inflicting enormous fines and punishment. We therefore deem a public emergency exists and the Sanctuary City Declaration is deemed to be necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, and safety, and the reclaiming of the citizens' constitutional rights and freedoms back. This declaration shall be in full force and effective immediately upon final passage and adoption by the board at a single meeting upon city council approval and permitted by statute and will continue in perpetuity. Thank you.
Okay, so I had paused the 3-minute warnings and all of that while you read through your proposed resolution. Did you want to speak on the proposed resolution for your last 3 minutes? I'll give you one last 3 minutes.
Yes, I want you to know that there are now over 30 countries and citizens who have signed a resolution similar to this, a resolution or a declaration. This could be used, what we gave you can be used as a format, or you can copy it to ensure the residents are ensured of their constitutional rights and freedoms. We've worked with our attorney and a constitutional attorney to make this declaration as comprehensive and precise as possible. And we would appreciate a vote taken on this. And I would also like to encourage all of you to get the copy of this book right here. It's called The Blueprint, and it's how Colorado, how the Democrats won Colorado and turned our state from a red state to blue state. And you may not know the names of Pat Stryker, Tim Gill, but you should. They're deep-pocketed Democrats who led the left's takeover of the center-right Rocky Mountain state. They and their team developed, funded, and executed a political strategy that undid a decade of Republican domination of Colorado politics and is now being franchised, the blueprint. This is being franchised across the United States of America. That's the bad news. There's good news. There's two people. There's a Rod Whitwer, who was a columnist, he was a political strategist, and Aaron Schrager wrote this book, and they have now engineered the blueprint, so everyone can learn the tactic and the strategy of the blueprint. If you care about your city, your state, and the country, and are involved at any level of politics, especially if you're alarmed at the leftward lurch of the early communist era, you need to get a copy of this and see what's happening, not just in big cities, it's happening in small town America. And so I think it's time that we as a community develop our own identity, and you guys not see us as a threat, but as citizens that really enjoy our freedoms. And our freedoms are threatened at this point in time because there's a strategy that's been very well implemented in our state and in other states across the United States, that we need to know what's going on so that we're not victims of a really losing our Constitution and our Colorado constitutional rights. By the way, the Gang of Four that implemented this strategy, Jared Polis was one of them. They're all multi-billionaires. Tim Gill was one. The Gill Foundation is Healthy Communities and Live Well Communities. He's invested in a lot of grant money that is going into small towns to restructure the community. Anything else? Okay, but you guys, I'll get you a copy of this. It's very educational and it would benefit everybody. Thank you.
There's a 3-minute warning. Is there anybody else who would like to speak to the council on an item that's on the agenda? Okay, please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Kimberly Burgess. I currently live at 304 South 8th, but I lived at 706 South 8th for 30 plus years. So I'm actually coming to get your guys' opinion and what you would suggest that we do. I've recently found out this week that the house at 708 South 8th Street was sold to the Halfway House, which anybody that knows the area knows that there is the community building, the stadium, the middle school, and Washington School. I mean, I'm willing to give everybody a chance, you know, the second chance to get better and do what they have to do. But my concern is that house, if it's used as a halfway house, it's going to affect that area. And there is many people. And I'm concerned about our children being in that area. We don't know what these people have committed as far as crimes. And I don't want to hold that against them. But I'm concerned for my neighbors. And my neighbors asked me to come and find out what our steps would be as protesting having that halfway house put in that area for the main fact. All of you know, look at all the kids that come to that area for the stadium, the community building. Late at night, you have kids there, you know, plus Washington School is within a block, middle school is within 2 blocks. So what's our avenue of what can we do about that? I mean, like I said, I don't want to take against anybody having a second chance, but my concern is for our children of our community.
And who did you say purchased this?
My understanding is Doug Kerrigan for the halfway house.
Okay. So what I had heard, and I had this conversation shortly before the meeting, is that they did acquire a house for a drug rehabilitation. When they get out of rehab, they go into a step program to get out to be released back into the public, but they've just gotten out of rehab and they were looking for a safe place. I'm not sure. I just heard about this right before the meeting. So we can investigate that a little bit more and see what the intentions are and then get back with you and let you know. But as of right now, I just heard about that earlier tonight. We can find out more details and get back.
Yeah,
to
I
you.
would appreciate it because I mean, there's
So-
young kids in that area,
Yeah.
you know, and plus what surrounds it,
Right.
you know, because it's a lot of kid community. Like I said, it's within a couple blocks of the middle school, the community building, Washington School, and the stadium.
Okay.
And you know how much goes on there. And I understand them needing a safe place.
Right.
I just don't think that area is safe for our children, where our children should be more important than that.
Okay, duly noted.
Okay.
I'll find out. I'll ask more
then you
information
can
as
let
far
me
as what
know.
their purpose is.
Because I still own the house at 706.
Okay. 'Cause, I
So,
mean, obviously, anybody could buy a house and utilize it. It's what they do with it, if it's going to be a commercial property or not, if it needs to be.
yeah, and it's a
zoned right.
residential area.
So
You know,
we'll
it's just
have
my concern for our community children.
And this is 708, right?
Yeah, 708 is the one that
I
was
want to make
sold.
sure that I wrote that.
Yeah, I live at well, I
You live
used
at
to live at
7,
706.
Okay.
So, but I would appreciate, I just didn't know where we needed to go
Okay.
to take and bring our concerns.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll look
All right.
into that more.
thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak with the city council before we move on? I did want to let you know, right before, and I sent out information to the council or forwarded it, but, you know, during a press conference last Friday, Governor Polis announced that the state dial framework, which is basically the restrictions and how they're based, the restrictions, is actually on the 16th will be going away. That dial framework will be changing from an order to a guidance, and that will be moving those restrictions and that autonomy to the county and the city governments to determine how to handle the COVID situation. So now that'll be going to, I'm sorry?
I said, perfect time for that.
So that would be going to the county from that point as of, and that's what I'm trying to tell you is that, so the authority to make any changes or corrections, I don't know what the counties it will make as far as changes or corrections, but to that dial system, it will be no longer be an order, it'll be a guidance. And then from that point, everything will be relaxed from there. So we'll see what happens after the 16th. But since it's not a order or a mandate or any of those any longer, the question of doing a sanctuary city on a not an order, I guess, was a question whether or not we would need that. So was there any other comments from the council before we move forward or?
I do.
Okay.
I want to thank you, Barbara, for standing up. And I believe where your heart is at, it's in the right place. I thank you for that. And I agree with you. And I would like to see it be implemented personally.
Well, we can bring it back to the council at the next meeting as an agenda item or not. I think by then the dial system will be gone. The orders will be gone. So we really wouldn't have anything to vote on at that time as far as sanctuary to go against it. So what is the position of the council?
I just wanted to share a few things also. You know, again, just like Joe said, I'm glad you guys are here. And I don't know how many of you are here for this specifically, but these are the times when, you know, it's share your thoughts and opinions, and just to have one person come up and speak with all of you just here. I mean, you should have all come up and said something if you have something to say, because this is important, it really is. But there's a few things in here that I'm going to reiterate, and I spoke about them last time. We did take an oath to uphold the Constitution. And doing this would really then start to eliminate your constitutional rights by starting to add things to it. In here, you say to restore, have every constitutional right restored. That implies that they've been taken away. The only way that your constitutional rights are taken away is when you let them go. Okay? We haven't taken anything away from you constitutionally. You have every right to live by the Constitution. Now, if it goes to the courts, which were already recorded in some here, there are some court actions that were taking place, then that's where it has to go. But to try to get the city to implement rights that you already have is dangerous ground. You don't want to put it on us to give you rights that you already have. And I don't know if that's clear or not, but you have constitutional rights. You just have to walk them out. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, we are.
We already have constitutional rights. They're already ours. So
Well, there wouldn't be a state mandate after the 16th, so.
even
at that
so,
point-
I mean, you're still an individual with an individual right. Walk in your freedom. Might cost you something. But if you don't do that and if you expect us to legislate it, I guarantee you they're going to out-legislate it.
Yeah.
That's how it works. You can't think that we're going to be able to over-legislate the state or the federal government. It has to be done by the individuals in a community. It's not so much, you know, getting our attention as getting the community's attention.
Okay. Any other council member would like to speak before we move forward? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. Kim will also be back in touch with you after we do the research, and then we'll let you know on the rest, okay? All right, thank you. We'll continue to move on with the council meeting. The city treasurer's report. Do we have a report for the city treasurer?
The only thing that I had is I've been terrible busy the last week and a half with the on-site audit, our annual audit. I think it went well. We'll continue to do some work over the next month or so. But I think it went really well, and it was very time consuming and overwhelming, but I just wanted to report to council that I think it went well, and then it's over. So that's good. That's the only thing I had to report.
Great. And then the city clerk's report.
February sales and use tax collected in March was $311,324.72, which was up 6.36% or $18,620.13 from 2020. Our year-to-date collections were $1,205,686.19, which is up 21.62% or $214,328.68 from 2020. That is all I have.
Great. Moving on to the city administrator's report. Steve?
Yeah, just a few things. Just a reminder, next Monday, April 19th at 5 o'clock is our strategic planning session. So everybody come with your planning hats on, I guess. We're going to have Dr. Linda Lujan is going to be our moderator for the evening. So that'll be kind of nice. She'll make sure that we stay on task and that we cover all of the pertinent topics and subjects. We have a conference call with Dr. Lujan tomorrow, myself and Kirk, just to make sure that we're all on the same page and that she's properly prepared. So just a little reminder about that next Monday at 5 o'clock. North Gateway Park, I don't know how many in the community have seen it yet. You know that we announced last year our plans to build a beach area, and we're going to do kayak rentals, canoe rentals. I also spoke to our proposed renter for our building for the kayaks and everything. We'd also like to sell bait out of the building and some soft drinks. Really turn it into a family-oriented atmosphere. We're going to build beach volleyball. We have a beach going in. If you haven't been to North Gateway Park, I would encourage everybody, just take a ride around there. Just check it out. It's completely transformed. All the way at the east end is where we're building all this. We still have a restroom facility to go up. You'll be seeing the actual kayak building going up now. And we're going to run water and to that building. Obviously, it needs some water and light and power. I want to give a special thanks to them. They're actually running the electric to the building now. So we're making some real good progress on it. As soon as the weather gets real warm, should be able to enjoy it. We're actually putting a little boat ramp out there too. The fire department would like, access in case they need to get their boat out in the water. And this will give a lot of people easy access. If they bring their own paddle boats and kayaks, they can actually back up to the water. You don't have to try to carry those heavy things so far. So, because a lot of times you come out with your kids and it's hard for the parents and the kids to maneuver that thing. So hopefully it'll work out real well. But it's coming along very nicely, just so everybody knows. And I know that a lot of the council has been out there to see it, but it's really taking shape. So there is a petition circulating or going to be circulating in the community, and I just wanted everybody to be aware of it. We have a local, when I say local, I mean in the state here. We have a local company, SoCo. They're a cannabis retail company. They want to circulate a petition to put a public question on the ballot. I don't know if you want me to read the question, Kirk, or I don't know if it's necessary.
Not necessarily. I think you could just explain what's happening.
The bottom line is they're going to ask the voters if they would like a public question on the ballot via this petition to legalize retail sales of marijuana. That's what it amounts to. I think the most important thing for the community to understand is that the city is not participating in this process whatsoever. The city council, the mayor, myself, we have nothing to do with it. This is completely privately being done. This is not our initiative. We're not condemning it. We're not supporting it. There is simply a process, a legal process that they're going to follow. And really, that's about it. So if it does get the signatures that it needs via the petition, there will be a public question on the ballot. And that's up to the voters then. That will be put right to the people to decide. So that's the message that I want out of this, though, is that the city's not participating in this. This is a private endeavor and a private initiative.
Just so the public is aware, when they first approached us, and there was other businesses that had approached us in the past, I made, Steve and I both made it very clear that the citizens of Lamar voted no against having dispensaries in the city of Lamar. And as long as the city voted no, that's what the city council would stand behind and we would go with. So we advised them that if they wanted to put it on the ballot, it would be at their cost, with their manpower, with their efforts, not with the cities at all whatsoever. And they understood that. We made that very clear. And until the city votes and says something different, as a council, it's our responsibility to stand behind what the city votes on. And as of right now, it's no. If it does get put on the ballot and the citizens vote yes, then we'll support it as a yes. But as of right now, we're staying out of it and we're just following what the citizens have told us to do. And that's what we'll move forward with. But we wanted to make everybody aware that there is a company. I've heard this for 5 to 6 years now, where somebody wanted to come in and do a ballot initiative, and they wanted to put out the effort and they were willing to do the investment, but nobody actually has. This is the first time in all those years that somebody actually is stepping up and taking it seriously and making the investments. So we wanted to make sure that the community was aware that it is coming out there. The city council is not related to this in any way whatsoever. We're just allowing them to do it as their own initiative. So.
Yeah, that's all. I just thought that was really important to make sure everybody's aware of it, especially since if everybody sees a petition circulating, it's important you know what it is and where it came from, who initiated it. It's not a city initiative, so that was the message I really wanted to get across.
Thank you. Does the council have any questions, concerns, comments for the treasurer, clerk, or administrator?
On this proposed petition they have, is that, it says the further taxes that, so we could add another tax on top of our standard tax? Separate tax. Just for the marijuana sales. Just for the marijuana sales, if they secure the proper number of signatures on the petition and they're certified as valid by the clerk, then it would move to the ballot. Now, the ballot questions, the city would have to develop questions for the ballot, but it would only be based on what would be on the petition that people had signed. And it is important to note it goes to the registered voters. So that's who would sign the petition to try to put it to the ballot. But it would be an additional thing. It would be just a marijuana, basically a marijuana tax.
Okay. Well, it says annually raise the taxes, and I want to make sure it was just on the marijuana.
Just on marijuana, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the reports and correspondence from the council. Do we have any reports from the council liaisons?
I don't have any.
Anybody? Okay.
Well, go ahead, Rolf. So, we met, actually, just a little bit, we met about the police board, public safety board, and, it's pretty much almost complete. Well, it's pretty complete, we just gotta have it reviewed, and I think we'll review it on the, day of our strategic plan.
Okay.
Pretty short, simple.
This is the ordinance to formalize the public safety board. Okay.
Just wanted to stress the hard work that the three of us have put into that draft ordinance, so we met. But we did, that was our assignment by the mayor, so we didn't get it done, just so you know, and we're ready to present it at the public safety, strategic planning meeting, so.
And then, do we have any updates on the the vacancy?
Well, that's another topic that's gonna be discussed at the strategic planning session. I mean, we have the ordinance, draft ordinance form. I think last time the basic question we have, myself and Jerry and Anne Marie was like, oh, how much do we charge? We heard some comments from the audience, said, hey, Lahana's doing this. I researched Lahana's numbers and I think I sent them out to Emery. They were so high, I didn't even want to include them because I think they're out of line. And so I think maybe at the strategic planning meeting, we can maybe all give that some thought. That's why it's probably good we're having that session.
Good.
Because we want to make it effective, but we don't want to make it unfair.
Great.
That's the key. So.
Well, I just wanted to make sure I asked about that one too. And
Yeah, no, we're ready. We're actually, those assignments have been carried out by everybody, the groups that have been given those tasks. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, with there being no other questions, we'll move on with the next item on the agenda is a public hearing for a special event permit for the Lamar Chamber of Commerce to host a beer garden during Lamar Days. This was initiated by Linda Williams and Kyle Miller. The proposed action is to approve a special permit. So with that said, I guess we need to enter into a public hearing first.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to enter into a public hearing. We will vote by our remote controls, but we'll say all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Jerry voted yes.
Yes.
Okay, vote is unanimous. So we will now move into a public hearing for the special event permit. All right, first item is to review the special permit documentation. Would you like to speak on that, Linda?
It was proof of publication in the Lamar Ledger on April 1st, and it was posted on site at the Chamber of Commerce also on April 1st.
Were there any findings in the investigation? I guess Kyle's not here, but do you know? of
Not
any?
to my knowledge.
Kyle asked me to report that everything was fine.
Everything was
Yes,
fine on it?
right.
So no past issues or anything like that?
No.
Is there anybody who would like to speak against the permit? We'll start with that. And please state your name and your address for the record.
I'm Galen Burnett. I live at 800 South 6th Street, Lamar, Colorado. I wanted to speak against this. As you guys have heard in the past, I go against each one of these because I've seen the disastrous results. And I don't want to see those again. I'm 68 years old, so I've seen a few things. And in the ministry, unfortunately, you do get to see these more often than what maybe others do. I don't like to see the disasters that comes from excessive drinking. Here in the state of Colorado during 2020, which was last year, 42% of the people under 25, so that would be 21 to 25, 42% of the Coloradoans had binge drinking at least once during that last year, during each month of last year. Okay, 42% binge drinking every month. That is excessive. Those are the young people that haven't been experienced very much. You know, they're adults, but they're still stupid. Okay? You know, they think that they know what they're doing and we give them a lot of responsibilities, but they have not developed the thinking, and that causes problems. They don't realize the ramifications. They don't realize the results of their drinking. Excessive drinking causes all kinds of problems. Short-term things like accidents, falls, drownings, burns, motor vehicle wrecks. You notice when you find out about a lot of the wrecks, alcohol is involved with many of that, much of that. Also violence of homicide, suicide, alcohol poisoning, as we already talked about, poor decision making. Excuse me. Some long-term effects are like hypertension, heart disease, stroke, and liver disease. I had an uncle who became an alcoholic, and I saw what it left when he was, he died, and he left his two sons. One was 13 and one was 15. Problems that caused in that family from his death. Memory, learning problems. People can have severe problems from alcohol. This is an opportunity that you guys have as our city council to say no. There is plenty of bars in town, there's plenty of liquor stores in town that they can get that. They don't need to be getting together and coming up with all kinds of other problems. So I'd recommend that you deny this request. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else who would like to speak against this special event permit? Okay, seeing none, is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of the special events permit? Looks like we have some individuals from the Chamber of Commerce. Please state your name and address for the record.
Jerry Roseberry, 510 Willow Valley. I'm the chamber president for 2021.
Lisa Shorty, I live at 30800 County Road 6.5 in Lamar.
Lisa is our chair for this year's Lamar Days. We're really excited to get this program going. We think it's going to be an outstanding weekend. We're starting again with our lunches that go for serving hamburgers at 12, and we'll start throughout, and we're going to continue going and have a great time all day. We're hoping to have all of our members at the chamber, the officers, are tip certified. I also will make sure that at the gate is only manned by a minimum of 2 people to make sure IDs are checked. We will have all kinds of tags for people that are allowed. There would be no alcohol outside of the fence. We are planning some games and things like that as well inside. The band is from Pueblo. We've already scheduled them to come down. We think it's a great opportunity for people to come back downtown and just experience Lamar again. So other than that, Lisa is our chair. I'll let her answer the rest.
I think Jerry covered most of the details of it. We just, we're kind of wanting to amp up Lamar Days, make it kind of a whole weekend event as opposed to just mostly Saturday. With the thoughts of maybe people want to have like their class reunions that weekend, things like that, get people to come back to town a little bit more. But like Jerry said, all of our board is tip certified. The whole area will be fenced in. We'll be IDing. We'll have bands for 21 plus, that sort of thing. Trying to think, it's been a few years since I've done one of these. Yeah, so it will be the hours of it. We applied for 5 to 11, but that's mostly for setup and tear down the first hour and the last hour. So the actual hours of the street dance, which is kind of what we're going for, is from 6 to 10 with the thought of everybody's out of there before they are too inebriated and or can go visit our other local bar establishments and support them as well. Just kind of really want to get some people downtown also during Lamar Days as opposed to just at the park, support our local members of the chamber and businesses. Any questions?
The only question I had was, I wanted to stop your timer just since I'm asking the question. I know in the past I've had comments about people busing tables, that there were kids inside the area and that some parents or some adults would leave drinks sitting there while they would go do something else or they'd leave. Do you have some plans in place for somebody to bus tables?
We can absolutely accommodate for that.
Okay, just
Not
wanted
a
to make sure.
problem. That's a great idea, actually.
So if you could, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think we should have plenty of volunteers that night. We don't have, that's the only thing we have going on that night. So as you know, the next day will be busy
Okay.
as well, but.
And are you allowing anybody under 21 inside the area or
They
is it
should
just
not
20?
be inside the fence. If they're under 21, unless we.
Is it, are we doing just 21 or not?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
They should not be allowed in the fence at all.
Okay.
21.
Okay, just making sure. I know last year we had opened it up, or 2 years
Oktoberfest,
ago.
yeah,
Oktoberfest, we
that
opened
one
it up.
is
Yes.
Yeah.
all ages, but
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I understood that. So for Lamar Days, it's 21 and up only inside that area. Okay.
I have a question. Just to clarify things, I'm looking at the map here and you got a fence, pretty big, huge perimeter there. Now, are we fencing off the tent just for the alcohol?
no, so
Or
since
are you
it's all
wanting
only
to allow
21 up,
alcohol
and
in
it
the whole
looks
entire
pretty
perimeter there?
large, but it's just the chamber parking lot.
Okay, now are there other vendors inside that parking lot?
No, because it'll just be for that night. It's only for Friday night. So we're just doing the band that'll be up on the stage and we'll have, I think Jerry's he's gonna set up.
Okay, well, my concern is that if we're allowing it in this big, huge area, you know, and if it's a family gathering thing and there's kids running around with their family members and we got adults there that are drinking, and we don't have any access to security there, then to me, that's a problem.
It's only going to be 21 and up. So it's
But
just,
I understand. That's why I'm asking, in this perimeter, are we having other vendors inside there on the sidewalks? Because I see it's all the way up to the street here,
no,
and then it's all the way to the railroad tracks.
it's no
no.
vendors. It's actually, let me clarify the map a little bit. I don't have a copy of it, but it's actually just basically from the front of the chamber building, and it's half of the parking lot. So it looks really big, but really, we do kind of the back of the parking lot here, and it goes over to the stage. And then we go just to the front of the parking lot here, and then we kind of use the train, like that fence there, to use as some fencing so we don't have to put up as much. And it doesn't even go all the way over to the Welcome Center door. It
Okay.
goes right past the train. So it's really just that parking lot area, which looks large on the map, but in person, it's not quite as big
So it's 21 and only.
in there.
21.
And we're not going to have any vendors set up since most of the vendors are all the next day. So we will have a food vendor there. So we make sure that people are eating while they're drinking, and we'll have the band and the dance.
Okay, well, I was just concerned because in the past where I've gone through the area, and through the day, you see a lot of families there and a lot
Right.
of kids running around.
Right.
My
So
concern is having drunk adults there where there's no security, where there's a bunch of kids running around.
This is our first opportunity to do the Lamar Day dance. And so maybe you're confusing it with the Oktoberfest because we do have all kinds of things going on in Oktoberfest.
Okay,
This is our first Lamar Days that we want to do this for, and that's why it's 21 and over. And we will not have any other vendors. Val's got me roped into selling hot dogs for the hoppers. That's what I'll be doing that night. So other than that, that's it. It's just the dance and the band.
because I also know that during the San Antonio Fair, that the commissioners, I believe, they hire security for their beer garden as well.
we typically contact Kyle to see if the police department can do some drive-bys to make sure everything's okay, kind of have a little bit of extra presence, but our beer gardens that we've done in the past for Oktoberfest have never been quite to the size of the one at the fair. They've got hundreds of people where we maybe have 50 to 100 maximum, but typically we don't have quite as many people. So we do typically contact Kyle and ask him to give us a little bit of extra, but we've never really had the need for the extra security other than just the drive-bys. And we've always had good luck with it. The chamber board is there. We're serving, like we said, we're all tip certified, and we kind of have policed it ourselves. And luckily, the whole time I was working there, which was 4+ years and volunteering, we never really had an incident where we had to call for extra backup other than just us asking anybody that had had a little too much to drink to leave. But other than that, we never had any issues.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other questions?
Lisa, you all
Yeah.
say you're tip certified. Are they all up to date? None of them are expired?
Yes, we are.
Could we get copies of those sent to Linda?
We can.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions, we would just need to move out of the public hearing, and then we can make a decision from there.
So moved.
Later. Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to move out of the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carrie, did you vote yes?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Oh, Oscar? Now the motion passes unanimously. Do we have a vote on this, or do we need to come back to that? Okay, so we do need a motion if you, whichever way you would like to go on this position.
I move we grant the special permit to Chamber of Commerce with regard.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to grant the special event permit for the beer garden on Lamar Days. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Oh, Oscar abstained. So motion passed as a split vote with Oscar abstaining, but it was unanimous otherwise. All right, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. We have a proclamation, number 2102, proclamation of the city of Lamar declaring April 26, 2021 as Arbor Day and April 25th through May the 1st as Arbor Week. This was initiated by the Lamar Tree Board. Would you like to read the proclamation or would you like for me to? And okay, that would be great. Just state your name.
Okay, I'm Jane Felter. I'm the chairman of the Lamar Tree Board. Mayor Crespin, do you want to read the proclamation or do you want me to?
I'll let you.
Okay. I'll have to put my glasses on. Okay. We are planning on celebrating Arbor Day. And it says, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, food for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I,
Kirk Crespin, Mayor of the City of Lamar, do hereby proclaim Monday, April 26, 2021 as Arbor Day in the City of Lamar, Colorado, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our woodland trees, our trees and woodlands. And I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. So do we have a motion? So
second.
a motion and a second to approve proclamation 21-02 to celebrate Arbor Day. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. I will sign this. Here's a copy for that.
Okay.
So I will have that.
And can I get a copy, or
Yes.
can I have you
Do you
sign
have
the
a
one
copy
that
I
I
can
have?
sign one?
Mhm. I'll
Actually,
bring
I
it
have
up
another
there.
copy I can sign.
You want me to bring this one up?
I will give you this. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the next item on the agenda was the presentation of the 2020 Tree City USA Award and announcement of activities regarding Arbor Day and Arbor Week.
Okay. Mayor and City Council, I'd just like to introduce the few members that are here. Not everybody's present tonight, but there's Judy Arnold, Lorna Monson, and Dewey Norfleet, and then Jim Fall, who is going off the boat. And so anyways, I just wanted to share a few things with you. We did have the 5th grade poster contest, and a winner was sent on to state, and they'll pick the final winner. And this year, the teachers contacted us, so you know they were pretty excited to even participate if they contact you. So anyways, we've worked with the 5th graders for over 15 years, and we always plant trees with this group, but we've also worked with the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, and 4-H over the years. And we are celebrating Arbor Day in Lamar this week, or this year, by planting trees at the golf course, and then we're going to plant several trees at the Hope Center. And some of the trees are going to be supplied from our Lamar Tree Nursery, which some of you may know is located north of the Hope Center. And the land was donated to the Lamar Tree Board by Ira Pollen, and it's named Pollen Grove City Nursery. And so this is kind of a big year for us. It's our 30th year as Tree City USA. And so I'm going to toot our horn a little bit tonight, and I'll just give you a brief. I won't talk very long. I can talk fast. Savage Avenue is one of our very first projects. It was started in 1991. And so the tree board developed it all the way to the high school. And so the 4 city entrances, Highway 28750 by KLMR, Highway 50 and Highway 287 and Road HH on the way to the airport were developed shortly after that with the help of the city parks and participation of the Lamar Utility Board, and they were finished. And then trees were planted on Main Street to help beautify our city. And in cooperation with the Lamar Chamber of Commerce, we helped design several layouts of the Enchanted Forest and assisted with the fundraising that went in with that. We have planted many trees at the ballparks, cemeteries, courthouse, Escondido Park, Centennial Park, Willow Creek Park, swimming pool area, and North Gateway Park. We developed Willow Creek Park corner as you head across the bridge to the south as a memorial to 9/11 with memorial bench, 4 Liberty elm trees, and others. And this was done a year after 9/11 in 2002. We also planted the windbreaks at the port of entries to beautify the area. We also have supplied trees through grants for the Lamar Loop and the golf course and other areas over the years. And so we are asking, and the mayor did proclaim Sunday, April 25th, 2021 through Saturday, May 1st, 2021 is Arbor Week in Lamar. And then Monday, April 26th, 2021 will be our Arbor Day in Lamar. And we appreciate your proclamation and participation. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work on the board that you do.
I have a question for Jay. As a councilman for Ward 1, it kind of breaks my heart to see the trees on Memorial Drive fading away. Have you ever thought about adding to the
We've been
trees?
discouraged to even plan there because you've got power lines on the east side. And you know what happens, they just start chopping them and then they all lean over this way. So we might possibly plant more on the west, but I think there's posts there too now. And so that's the issue, is the power lines.
Unless we find
And
short
we've
trees.
also planted a lot of trees at the hospital. So I probably mentioned that. We planted all over. Well, we did plant 195 trees. Well, I was trying to think, it's one within the last 3 to 5 years when you guys first did North Gateway Park, we planted 195 trees east. And guess what? We got the river came over and just wiped them out. So we either have too much water or not enough water. Have fun trees. So we're happy when we get some to try. I thank you. I was gonna give you this to hang up, but I noticed you cleared the walls.
So far, we'll put them back up. We
Well,
just haven't had.
Actually, would you give that to us? We haven't decided what we're gonna do with the walls yet, so,
Okay,
And
well,
we're gonna
the
get-
rest of ours were up there, so this
Well,
is
and
the
we're-
recent one.
and we are also going to be purchasing cases to put in the hallway to display a lot of things. So you don't necessarily have to walk in the meeting room and where's everything at? So we were working on that too. I know Linda and Krista and I were been talking about that. So we're gonna work on display cases too.
Okay. that sounds
So-
great.
Before you go, we did have one question online that I wanted to ask.
Uh-huh.
Somebody was asking about what trees are best suited for this area.
So we have a whole list.
A whole list? Okay, maybe we can get a list to the clerk's office, so they can grab one at the clerk's office.
Okay.
If you could, that would be great, or maybe at the library, so they can get these or place.
Okay.
So if you could provide one, we'll mention it to people, they can get it at those locations. Okay,
So we
thank you.
have from Donna Davis, works with us as far as state forest service. So we have that.
Great,
Okay.
thank you. We did lose our voting system. We had some power issues, but so, like I said, we're still learning as we go. We did have one other item with the tree board that we didn't, that they've left already. They snuck out. But we do have an appointment to the tree board. The next item on the agenda, the term of the Lamar Tree Board for Miss Kim Van Hook expired on March 1st. City Council procedure and policy manual requires that all vacancies be advertised with the local media. The board vacancies were advertised as directed. One application was received for this position, and that was from Miss Kim Van Hook for another 3-year term. So the tree board is recommending the reappointment of Miss Kim Van Hook to the tree board. Do we have any questions from the council? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept Ms. Kim Van Hook to the Lamar Tree Board. Any final questions? Seeing none? Yes?
Isn't Jim retiring from the tree board? And she's taking this place?
Well, it said it was her position. Are you retiring separate or?
No. Okay, let's say, I think it's just.
So this is just a reappointment of hers.
Okay.
Is that right?
Is it her reappointment?
That's my understanding.
It's Kim's reappointment.
Okay, so it's just Kim's reappointment.
You're not reapplying to?
All right, so this would be a reappointment for Kim Van Hook. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, Jerry?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, the next item on the agenda is agenda number 4, approve security contract with Sand and Sage Roundup and Fair Board for the Wild West Cook-Off Contest. This was initiated by Chief Kyle Miller. He had asked us to review the security contract between the Sand and Sage Roundup Fair Board and the City of Lamar. Since Kyle is not here, would you like to speak on this, Steve?
Yeah, and again, Kyle apologizes, but he is unavoidably not here. He was indicated this is exactly the same as it's been in years past. Unfortunately, last year we didn't have this event, so this is kind of new to me too this year, so due to COVID, but as you can see, the officers are compensated $35 per hour off duty. And he said, to the best of his knowledge, we've been doing this for, I don't know how many years. Same terms, same agreement, different days.
Have you had a chance to look at this, Lance?
Yeah, I guess my only question is, it says 11 PM to 7 AM. Is that just because they're parking overnight in the park area?
That's my understanding. It's because
Because
of the
the
parking.
RVs are in there.
Okay, no issue with it.
Yeah.
Yes. I move we approve the contract.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract. They do have the voting machine up and running again, so as we vote, could you please select that as well. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimous. Yeah, I heard Jerry. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the reappointment of the municipal court judge. Judge Porter's contract would be expiring on April 10th, 2021. So it's actually expired a couple of days ago. He's served with distinction. He's indicated his willingness to continue in this role, and the staff would recommend that he be reappointed as well for an additional term of no less than 2 years. The judge's salary is set rate payable in 12 monthly installments, and the salary cannot be lowered during the term of this appointment or any extension thereof. The salary is $19,500 per year in 12 monthly installments. Would you like to speak on that anymore, Steve? Or add anything?
Unfortunately, I haven't spent a lot of time with the judge, which I guess is a good thing if you don't see the judge, but from what I understand, there is absolutely no complaints about his performance. He's doing a fine job, and I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be reappointed.
I move we reappoint.
No issues with it.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint the municipal judge for another 2-year contract.
Yes.
Are there any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 6 is the carpeting in the Cultural Events Center and the Library Children's Room. This was initiated by Sue Lathrop from our library. And she came up here to discuss the bid. Sue, I'll let you go from there.
Okay. We have a lot of carpet in the library, you may have noticed. And replacing it all at once just is not really a feasible idea. Plus, there are many areas that don't need to be replaced as often as other areas. So every 5 years, we put about $20,000 in the budget to replace those areas of the carpet that need to be taken care of. This year, we want to replace the carpet in the Cultural Events Center. And we want to replace the high traffic areas in the children's room. We don't have enough money to replace any more than that. We received only one bid. We did look around to try and find other bids, but we were not able to find any other local companies. So the 2 bids were a total of $21,907 for those 2 areas, which is slightly over what we have budgeted. However, Kristen tells me that we do have a little extra left over in capital line items for the library. So I would like to go ahead and get approval for both areas of the carpet to be replaced.
Move we accept the bid.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the bid as presented. Do we have any final questions?
Is that the whole cultural event center?
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty ratty in there. We're also going with a darker color in there because sometimes when we have a performer, it's kind of blinding to look at them. And plus kids can make a little bit more of a mess when they're in there. We do use that room over 400 times a year on a normal year.
So will you have that done before our strategic planning meeting next Monday?
No, afraid not. You wanted to wait until after that. You guys are kind of rowdy. I hear.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I understood, yes. Yeah.
That's right.
Spill some things, you know.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second to approve the bid from Cook's Floor and Wall. Any other final questions? Did we vote on that? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great.
Thank you.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimous. Okay, agenda item number 7 would be the approval of the Scooters Coffee Economic Development Incentive Agreement. Earlier tonight, we had our Lamar Redevelopment Board meeting, and the Lamar Redevelopment Board approved this motion with the exception or with the change to clarify that the sales and property tax was based upon the sales and property tax that the city received only. So it's the city receives sales and property tax. So that clarification was added into their motion and it was approved with that clarification. With that said, Steve, would you like to comment any more on this?
I think we've probably discussed it enough. This is a mirror image of what was approved earlier. So I would recommend the same motion and hopefully an approval.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So move to approve the incentive agreement.
With the correction?
Yep, with the corrections.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve it with the corrections as noted. Any final questions?
If by chance he decides to sell some, this is null and void, this right?
The contract would be with him
Well,
only.
the contract is with Bean of Life, so yes, it's with him.
Okay.
It's not with the property, it's with this company.
It's not assignable
So,
without our consent.
Okay.
I mean, I suppose if it did sell, Oscar, and somebody came back and wanted to said, hey, I'm still operating as a scooters. Can I go along with the same agreement? I don't know that there would be an objection, but it's with Bean of Life.
We have an
Company.
assignment item
So-
here in the contract, right?
Yeah, like I said, you can't assign it without our written agreement.
We'd have to have a written agreement. So
Okay.
they can come to the council and ask for an assignment.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for the council? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign,
Aye.
and the motion passes with a split vote. All those who were in favor, Anne Marie voted no, against. So moving on to the next item on the agenda is approve vertical bridge CCR LLC lease agreement. And this is a lease agreement for property that the city has been working with for many years. So it's a renewal of a contract that we previously had with the city. I'll let Steve talk about this. I know he's done some extensive work on this contract. So
Well,
Steve-
I can tell you that it is, in the form it's in right now, it's ready to go. Lance had some changes. I can, happy to say Vertical Bridge went along with every change, approved it. We're going from receiving rent of $1 a year for 1 year, $1 a year to $1,250 a month.
Wow.
I didn't do the percentage increase on that, but that's quite a bit. So, I mean, the initial contract was for 2 10-year terms, 20 years. They wanted to make some improvements and they wanted to do some things with the tower. And I said, well, your agreement's expired. And I tried to get more, but that's where we ended up, so.
That was pretty good.
Well
So,
done.
And this is for a cell phone tower, is that correct?
This is for the tower that currently exists out by the water reservoirs on the south end of town. It would be the tower just to the west of the reservoirs. And Lance has reviewed the agreement. They've agreed to all the changes that he has recommended. I was more concerned about the rent payment. Lance was worried about the rest of the language, so they went along with it. I believe it's ready to go, right, Lance?
Yeah,
As far
so
as-
this copy isn't the one with my changes. So they approved the changes on Friday. We got notice of that.
Right.
So, but yeah, so there's several changes that I've made in there that I've taken out certain sections entirely. But they were in agreement with all those changes and I think it's in a better form now. One of the issues was mortgage. They were talking about mortgaging land. One of them was condemnation. We already own the property, so there's no need for that. Other changes that I just think that were, I guess, too broad or too general. We wanted to have consent if they were going to sign it. I don't know. Several things like that were changed in order to be more favorable to the city and protect the city's interests. So.
The only thing we're giving them is right of first refusal if we decide to dispose of the property, but as everybody here knows, we don't sell municipal property, so. And if we ever by some chance ever wanted to, they'd be the logical person we would go to anyway. They're on the property.
And they've
So,
already built towers.
They've already built it, so.
So we're just giving them the first right of refusal.
And if we decide so, which, like I said, I've never known a municipality to dispose of property like that, so we'll probably have it for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
This is for 30 years.
35.
35 years?
6 5-year terms, right?
Yeah, but it's 6 consecutive.
After the
extensions.
first term, right?
At $1,250 a month. So
Well, it's a 10% escalate.
plus it escalates, yeah, so that's very,
There's a
very
10,
substantial.
yeah, there's a 10% escalator in there. Normally those are 3.
I don't get any of that, so.
I mean, that's pretty, I mean,
It's a big
you
benefit.
think of it, every 5 years, a 10% escalator is pretty good. So we'll be doing well.
I make a motion that we accept the lease agreement with Lance's corrections
Second.
and authorize Kurt to sign it.
Quickly.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to sign the lease agreement as submitted by Lance, or with the changes by Lance. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is to approve the Main Cafe request for proposal. Of course, this is a project we've been working on through the rural development program or the Lamar Redevelopment Authority Board, but also with the city. We're trying to remodel and restore the main cafe building. Steve, would you like to speak on this a little more?
Well, we've completed the historical structural assessment. I know that everybody's read that 200-page document in its entirety, so I want to thank the council for reading that. And we're at the point right now where we did secure a grant. If you recall, this has been in the works for a while. We've got the contract signed, we secured the grant. We're actually now ready to go for the RFP. So if we could approve the RFP to be sent out, that would be great. You're going to notice that the one in your packet does not have specific dates. It has, the content is going to be the same. I have to sit down with Pat and maybe Morgan, and I want to come up with dates in there, like when we want to have the bid due, when we're going to do the walkthrough of the main cafe, what's convenient for everybody. It's those type of things. And I really didn't think that the council would care so much about those kind of dates. That's more of a staff thing. When can we work that out? But other than that, the agreement's in its final form right now. And I'll give it to Kristen to get on the street as soon as we get all that filled out, and Linda will get a copy too, so.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
We got a match?
We got 61,000 and change. I put it in the,
Yeah, we have a match.
do we have it? It's in the yeah, it's in the
Do we have to
URA.
pay a match or?
Is there a match?
Oh, it's gonna cost more than 61. That is my point. I believe that 61 is gonna cover, when you say half, that 61 is probably gonna cover half of what this is gonna cost.
So and you're gonna plan to take that out of the.
That's coming, that's why we're trying to save money in the URA, to not only do this design services, we still have to go to construction.
We'll need a formal action
And-
from the URA board at some point.
We gotta do the match or?
Well,
We
when-
need it for the greater.
Well, when we get the RFPs back, I'll put it on the URA agenda to award it, and then put it on the council agenda in that X amount of dollars. We don't even know what it's gonna cost yet. I haven't even got the RFPs back yet. So before we award it, we'll throw it on both agendas.
The grant will come to the general fund, so the council will approve the. Yeah, the grant, you've already approved the grant, so.
But I can tell you, it's going to be north of $61,000. My guess is double that.
But once you.
It's going
That's the
to,
intent,
there's
yes.
going to be a cafe on the first floor, and there's going to be, I believe, like condos on the second floor. That apartments, well, the building has to be city-owned by the terms of the grant for 10 years. What the idea is, we want to build out the entire cafe with the hood systems and everything, and then lease that to an operator. The upstairs, obviously, we're going to lease out for 10 years. And with the idea that eventually the city really doesn't, we don't really want to be in the landlord business. The only reason we're going to be is because the state's making us do it as part of the grant. And we really need to start renovating some of those buildings, but
Not to hear about it. As a citizen, I've not even heard about it.
Oh,
really, we've been talking about it at meetings, several
Yeah.
meetings, so.
Yeah, I mean, not even like, they know down about it.
Yeah, this is one of the,
Eager to hear that stuff.
it's one of the exciting projects that we have, that we're trying to renovate this. We're hoping this will be the start, and then when we sell this, we'll be able to use the proceeds if we have any to redo another one, hopefully in the future, and continue that to help renovate our community.
Yeah, it's definitely.
But, the same with our Tri-Motel project where we're demolishing that, we'll turn around and sell that and flip it as well. But, we're looking, and we really wanted to do this downtown because having a good restaurant that's fully equipped, that's up to code, is very important for Lamar to have in the heart of downtown, to have a good restaurant there. So we're hoping that will help to solidify. I mean, we already have restaurants downtown as it is, but having the different variety will bring more people in town. So that's our hope.
Every downtown has a nice little cafe. I mean, it's always nice to have that downtown. And the design, like I said, is probably going to be upwards of over $120,000. You haven't seen the construction yet. Our budget, we're going to be over 600,000. I mean, you have to build it. I don't know if anybody's been in the main cafe lately, but it needs help.
Pretty bad.
Go ahead, well, thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, we're glad you had the opportunity to hear about it, so.
Sure.
Okay, are there any questions from the city council for this? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved. I'll second it.
Do we have a motion and a second to approve the request for proposal for design services? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes unanimously.
Jerry.
I didn't hear Jerry.
Yes, I said aye.
Yeah.
Okay.
How far do those clickers work? Can she use that hole? Yeah. And she can, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, she needs a stronger battery.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Lance.
Okay.
You're not
So the
allowed
next
to-
item on the agenda is a motion to ratify the council approval for the submission of a grant application to the Southeast Colorado Regional Airport Entitlement Money. Last week, we had the Southeast Regional Airport Entitlement Money to the amount of $1,228,499,000 that we've received for FAA entitlement monies to be used on taxiway A at the airport. We needed to make some decisions on that quickly. We did do a phone poll, and this ratification, this vote would be to ratify the phone poll, which was a unanimous with one of the council members not being contacted. All other members approved it. Do we have any questions on this? And if not, do we have a motion?
So move to accept the phone call.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to ratify the phone poll as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is approval of airport asset purchase agreements. Of course, this motion is, we're asking for a motion to approve the asset purchase agreement with Lamar Flight Service, Inc. in the total amount of $100,159 and authorize the mayor to sign it. Little background is the city of Lamar is assuming their responsibility of the fixed base operator for airport operations among or after the departure of Lamar Flight Service. To facilitate this transition, it's necessary for the city to acquire a new fuel truck and tools and other equipment. Lamar Flight Service has offered to sell us their current inventory. Steve has worked along with Pat and Oscar very diligently to try to negotiate out a mutually acceptable agreement with Lamar Flight Service. And it seemed like we've made a fairly good decision and negotiated out this price. Steve, would you like to add?
Well, I guess as everybody can see in the background info, it kind of lays out exactly what we're getting for our $100,159, all the FF&E for furniture fixture. We're going to get the low lead truck. We're going to obviously be assuming the lease on the jet fuel truck, but Lance is actually working on that right now. So you add it all up of all the assets, the inventory, the shop inventory. Myself, Pat, and Oscar did sit with them. We ended up negotiating this price out as what we thought would be an absolute fair purchase price. We did do our due diligence. We did research we have inventories of all the equipment we're going to get. We did research the price of that equipment. We researched the price of the tanker truck. Can't just find those on Blue Book, but those tanker trucks are kind of a unique thing. But we did do our due diligence, and we feel very good about the number that we've come up with. And the agreement right now is in final form. Lance has reviewed it. It's actually ready to be approved by the council. Oscar, is there anything else you'd like to say, or?
And what we settled on is a lot less than they were asking.
Can we let the public know what they were asking for their assets?
130, 150.
Wanted 100,000 or something just for the truck.
Yeah, it was almost like 50,000.
So about 150,000.
Yeah.
About.
roughly.
I had a question on item 2A, the actual purchase price and terms. I understand it because the math equals, but are we actually getting the 2011 Crown Vic for $0 or are we
Yes.
not getting it? Okay.
We're
We
getting
donated it to them.
We actually donated them for nothing, so we're not gonna buy it back when we gave it to them for nothing, yeah, but I think, Lance, you just thought it was important to put that in there.
Just wanted everything.
It's
that-
coming back to the city,
It's gonna transfer title.
right?
I just wanted to,
It looks kind of funny, doesn't it, in the agreement? Yeah. I agree with
It was
you.
one of our old police cars, so.
I do agree it looks funny in there, but
So as you pointed out, item A is the inventory. So those are the assets that we're acquiring. Item C is the fuel inventory, which was purchased on 5th.
we actually became effective, Kristen, right on the 5th, which would have been heck Monday, week ago. So that's actually when we did the last fuel reading and Lamar Flight Service sent us an invoice for the fuel. So we have a separate invoice for the fuel because we assumed that on April 5th.
I don't
And
know.
we'll get those figures so that we can put it in.
Yeah, I didn't bring the invoice with me. So
We have it. I was gonna say, I don't have a copy either. I'm sorry. I didn't bring it either.
it came in after this payment of bills was already prepared, so we couldn't get it on this agenda.
That's for the fuel that was left in tanks.
The inventory,
The
right?
inventory, what was left over. There was also some other agreements. Well, one of them is that truck agreement. The truck agreement is currently being worked out to assign it over to the city. I spoke to their attorney, Phillips 66 attorney today. They were going to send me an assignment, which we agreed would be the quickest, easiest way to get this to the city, was through an assignment of that agreement. Obviously, you're taking on those items, well, under the contract terms, where the city's absorbing all those terms. So the interest rate and the payment schedule and those things are all going to be owed to that Phillips 66 through the city. Now, having spoke to Kristen and Steve about this, I don't know, the city may look at some point either purchasing that out or refinancing it or something along those lines. But in order to get this changed over as quick as we could, I think an assignment clause is the most appropriate. I did send them contract language that we need, given that we're a municipality, that we're a home rule charter, that to be in compliance with Tabor and make sure we're not having an issue there. And I think we're going to get that worked out in the next day or two and finalized. So I don't see a huge issue there. There were other rental agreements that are currently being worked on. A lot of agreements going on at this time, but I think we're close. A couple more days and those rental agreements will be done as well. So
Hangar space.
We have a lot of hangar lease agreements for the commercial hangar. We have 5 individuals in there. We're going to be requiring certificates of insurance. They're going to be naming the city as additional insured. They're currently not doing that. We do have a part-time employee that is going to be purchasing that mobile home that's on the city property. We're actually working a land lease agreement with that individual. Part of their job responsibility is to do overnight fueling. So we can make sure that we can offer fuel, around the clock, not a problem. And we have somebody on site for security. I guess if I could take 10 seconds of the council's time. I met with the gentleman's name is Isaac, who's going to be actually there and is currently assuming it is in that role now. For a piece of property on the airport, what does everybody think is fair price charge? I think for a lease. We were thinking maybe a couple $100 a month.
we don't own the mobile home.
We don't own the mobile home. It's just for that little piece of property under, and he's responsible for at night.
Utilities.
And he's gonna be paying utilities too. It's just for the pure lease of the property. It's about half the size of
Did
this
you
room.
call any mobile home parks to see what they charge?
He's currently paying $300 a month.
Or can that be part of the incentive? Say, hey, you're gonna live here, we want you to be, just have.
I can't really meld those two. I have to put him on as an employee. He's gonna be paid a wage, but he's also gonna be responsible for paying rent. And I don't wanna mingle those two. So I can't do that. we were thinking maybe a couple $100 a month.
I think 300 Star Wars, that's probably fine.
I mean, like, should I approach that with them? I'm asking because
Well, the 300 was including the actual trailer though, right?
well, 300 was including the trailer. This is simply property. That's not in the trailer. The trailer's his.
So he's probably paying like 200 for the trailer and 100.
And I mean, I was thinking, yeah, maybe 100 or 200 a month. I mean, just want me to work it out with them, but it's not gonna be a great deal of money. We're talking half the size of this room.
150.
Will those agreements all come back then as separate from this then?
Yeah, I mean,
We have a lot of lease agreements, yes.
I mean, it's not really a part of the assets or anything we can acquire.
Right.
If they had established agreements, it would make it easier, but
They don't.
since they just did everything handshake. Verbal agreements.
I mean, I'll work it out with them if that's okay with you all, but
Well, I would say 200 is a starting point.
Yeah.
Right there, and then we can go from there.
I was hoping 200 is what I was thinking off the top of my head. Certainly not much more. Because it's not for trailer, we don't, so.
Okay. Can you bring that back for approval?
Well, that's what, we still have to, we haven't even prepared those documents yet, so
Right. So
those all will be on future agendas. I just, for my own benefit, I just wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit as long as we're talking about
We
it.
won't need him though, once we get self-service in, is that correct?
That is incorrect.
No,
The self-service is for only low lead. The jets will always need a
somebody there.
fueling service, that is correct. Or if you get a plane that's a little bit bigger, they can't get close enough to this,
So that's where Isaac would come in.
Isaac would come in with
And
all that
fuel those
after hours,
individuals.
yes.
Okay.
Now, again, he's gonna be part-time and he's only gonna be paid as obviously his hours dictate. So if somebody comes in at 1 o'clock in the morning, we're going to establish a fee where you're gonna pay an automatic like $25 to $30 fuel surcharge
On top of that.
to pay for his time that he's gonna go out there and do that. And then you gotta pay for your fuel. And these are all the little details that we're still working through as well as lease agreements, but yeah, it's
Great. That's why, I mean, if he's part-time, he's not making a whole lot.
No.
Low rent as possible.
And he's doing, and quite frankly, we have somebody out there for security that watches it and can immediately call the police department if we have a problem at the airport. And that, believe it or not, that's kind of an important function for us. So I just want to be fair with them.
Low.
Yeah, and I just want you to know, we'll be fair, obviously, but
But we can deal with that one when that lease comes back.
I'll have that for you at a later date when we kind of.
This one, what we have is this agreement here that we need to get.
With Lamar Flight Service, so if you
Yeah.
could approve that,
This is the
we
big
really need to get moving on this, yes.
So what do you guys think on this? Are we good?
Yeah, we got the money, right?
Guess I'll find it, right?
I make a motion to accept the. Oh. Asset purchase for our flight service.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the asset purchase agreement with Lamar Flight Service. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimous. Okay, the next item on the agenda is approved contract transfer for CETA lease from Societe Internationale to CETA Information Network Computing USA, Inc. This is to approve contract transfer for the CETA lease from Society International to Information Network Computing USA. Steve, would you like to speak on that?
Well, I mean, there's really not much to.
We're just moving, and this is for what?
Do you know what it is?
This is at the airport, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
transmitting power for commercial planes. So they know where they're at.
Is that the equipment that's in the closet?
Yes.
Is that what, okay, now I know what, yeah, there was a company out, not actually a couple months ago, that was actually replacing all this equipment.
Yeah.
When we talked to them, so, yeah, they rent that little bit of closet space to store that equipment, that's all it is.
I've looked at it, I don't have any issues with it.
Make a motion to accept.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the contract transfer. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimous.
Sorry.
Okay. Agenda item number 13 is the internet contract for the airport. Of course, as we're taking over all these items, we also have to add in the standard services that we have there. One of them is internet access, and Thomas Sanchez, the Information Technology Director, brought in this. Would you like to speak on that, Tom?
Sure. As we're taking over the airport, we did a quick survey and went and saw the infrastructure out at the airport. A lot of it is outdated, it needs to be upgraded, not only the internet, but we're working on the other part as well. But this is the part that requires a contract. When we went out there, we did a quick speed test. They're getting 10 down, 2 up. That's what they're paying for. It's $50 a month. It's not going to be sufficient for what the city's going to require. The credit card machine, VPN, reports, time clocks, everything that we're going to provide out there for the airport, 10 meg isn't going to do it. So about the only people out there that can carry an internet service is Seacom Wireless. It's too far for fiber, too far for copper. And Seacom's already out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace their existing wireless infrastructure and put up a new wireless radio. We've already done a site survey with the people that were available to us, and none of the antennas or anything are going to be a problem up top because they don't use them anymore. Matter of fact, we saw where the existing one is. We're probably just going to take that one down, put up a new one, aim it over here to the tower south of Lamar at SECPA's headquarters, and be able to do 50 by 25. My recommendation to allow the city council to allow the mayor to sign the contract.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any final questions?
Yes. 149 a month?
Yeah.
For internet?
For internet.
Plus we have the self-serve coming on.
Yeah. The self-serve will be filtered through that as well, or run through it.
Yeah, we have that too, don't forget. That's still on its way.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion in this, or are there any final questions on that? We do have a motion in a second. All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimous. Item number 14, Aviation POS Merchants Agreement for dispensing of fuel at the military at the Southeast Colorado Regional Airport. This is the motion to approve the AV POS Merchants Agreement that will allow us to dispense and invoice out fuel to the military aircrafts that do come into Lamar. Steve, would you like to add anything, or Linda?
So I have nothing to add. Kristen's actually the one who
Okay.
took care of the merchants agreement. Thank you very much. So she may be able to answer some questions that I'm unaware of.
There were 2 of them. I did email everybody them. I got them a little bit after the packet contents were due. So I emailed you the copies. Did you guys have any questions? And Lance had reviewed them. He didn't see any issues with them.
Okay.
So I completed the information on them and they're ready for the mayor to sign if you guys want.
Okay.
Well, we have, and it's real important, please approve this. We have 7 Blackhawks coming in. And they're gonna need fuel, so we're gonna need to get moving on
And
this.
we've already had a military plane or
Helicopter chopper.
there last week, so.
And we got 7 more coming in.
Okay.
We get fuel.
Move to approve the agreement
Second that.
and authorize the mayor to sign.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agreement and authorize the mayor to sign. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 15 is a discussion of the City of Lamar FPPA Old Tire Pension Fund and direction to city clerk to proceed with public hearing notice. Many years ago, the City of Lamar Fire and Police Pension was through the FPPA. In or about 1993, the City of Lamar Fire and Police chose to move their pension plan away from the FPPA into two separate pension plans, one for the fire and one for the police. I will let Linda go on and explain the rest from here. Linda?
So at that time, a few of the retired members chose to stay in FPPA. At this time, the City of Lamar approved ordinance 931, establishing the City of Lamar Old Hire Pension Fund Board. Myself and Brent Van Kempen, we went back and did some research trying to find who was on the board. We cannot find any documents that stated who was on the board. So, oh, and along with the fire chief, he was of assistance also. So the board's been inactive for many years. There was one retiree participant participating in the Old Hire Pension Fund that passed away in early 2021. This left a balance of contributions made by the City of Lamar. Per Colorado state statute, the governing body can authorize the use of funds once a public hearing has been set and held, and they have approved resolutions stating the use of the funds. I did attach a copy of the public hearing or the notice of public hearing that I would be publishing in the paper for everybody to review, as well as a copy of a resolution that was provided by FPPA. The next step would be, of course, to publish the notice, hold the public hearing in 50 days, which is June 28th. And then from there, decide how we were going to utilize those funds. It was suggested that it be utilized for something in the fire department or potentially maybe a public safety building. But that would be decided at the time of the public. So I need direction as to whether I can publish the notice or what council would like me to do.
Yeah, folks. No. So I think the main thing with it, in the discussions that I've had along with Linda and Steve, I hadn't had a chance to talk to Kristen yet on that, but was that this was fire and police departments, even though it was city funds going into it, we'd be looking at recouping those funds to utilize them somewhere. The intent was to try to utilize it to benefit the fire and police department because it is their pension fund or their old hire pension fund. So looking at different things that we need to do, we've always tried to keep them up to date with their equipment and gear and things that they need. However, one of the things that they really need that we haven't been able to provide for quite a few years has been space. I know the police department, we have a rental building over at the Village Shopping Center that we rent or lease out to give them additional space. They're tight quarters here inside the building. I know the fire and ambulance department have expanded and they need some extra room. With the onset and the idea of our new public safety board, we thought maybe it would be a good idea to consider using these funds to help develop a public safety building to help support that public safety board and public safety services for our community. So that was one of the suggestions. However, if you guys have any other ideas, so suggestions, we could talk about that during the public hearing or in the meantime before that. But the next step is to get the public hearing notice published so that we can start doing something. So
I move we schedule the public hearing for June 28th.
second. We have a motion and a second to schedule the public hearing. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimous. Okay, so we will schedule that public hearing now. Good. Then the final item on the agenda is miscellaneous. Do we have any miscellaneous items for the council?
I have one.
Okay.
I would like to have a discussion, and if you would like, we can do this on Monday at the strategic planning session. We have been working with City by App. I know that when I first was speaking to everybody, I had indicated that I was going to be pursuing an app for the city. And that was a while now. We've been working on this since I got here, and we've had several presentations. Figured we'd start with PEP. You know, that's where PEP board's at. That's where the city's an active part of it. The county's part of it. It just seemed like a logical place to start doing presentations. Well, we've done several of them now. Anne-Marie's, I know, seen it. I know Kirk's seen it. We're at the point right now where they have actually agreed to drop their price for us. And it's not just the city, the entire county. It would be a county app. The chamber has indicated a willingness to participate. PEP has indicated a willingness to participate. I'm sure at some point the county commissioners have all seen it. I haven't got a decision from them yet, but everybody is waiting kind of for the city to make the first move. So I would actually like to have a discussion about this at our planning session. Because I think, at least technologically, this is probably, we can actually be ahead of something instead of behind all the time. We would be the first ones in the state of Colorado to do it, which somebody has to be the first, and it's catching on. There's a reason why businesses have apps. There's a reason why everybody has an app on their smartphone. It's kind of the way technology's going, and I would like to really discuss this.
One thing that came up in our, in an SECD board meeting was that there was some new funding coming out from the state with new CARES Act funding. But it had to be CARES or COVID related. And of course, now that COVID is closing and ending, it's very hard for a lot of communities to do that. But one of the ideas that I threw out was, what about communications? If we were to use this for communications and use the COVID app or this app for emergency communications. And that was something that I believe I was going to get back with Stephanie and ask her to inquire a little bit more about the state. I don't know if you have any familiarity with that. Do you think that would work?
Yeah, I think we're going to stretch it.
The purpose of the app would be for communications, two, to engage services that are inside the county and businesses that are in the county.
Size events.
Yeah, event planning, calendars.
What's the projected cost of this app?
$17,500 a year for 5 years. But that's why we're proposing it shared amongst a lot of entities to bring that cost down. We just, $17,500 was $25,000 a year. We're actually getting a deal at $17,500.
Shared cost is what you're saying? Shared cost. Yeah.
Well, that's why the point was, the city wasn't going to be able to fund this by ourselves. That's why it started at the county, and it's a county app, not a city app. To the larger cities, $25,000 a year, for the power of the app. And again, if you've never used it before, it's hard to really conceive of what all the things you can do. But you can pay bills, you can look up anything going on in the city. There's featured events, you get push notifications. We have Martha, who actually has done a lot of work on the app, but we're in a unique situation where we have somebody that actually will work with City by App, and it will stay fresh. It's updated every day. And fire department, police department, road closures, power outages, any community service, any event going on, any business that's running a special, or any business that wants, there's a lot of things you can do with it. And like I said, we've had a couple presentations, but I'd really like to, discuss this maybe a little more in depth at our strategic planning meeting, because everybody else is waiting for the city to make a move.
Well, I think that would be an appropriate time as well.
And that's kind of long-term.
Yeah.
Right. That's all I have. Just one.
All right, any other items for miscellaneous?
I would like to make a comment. On my way home from training on Friday, I was on the highway. Training, yeah. I noticed, my first thought was, what in the world, why is this guy smoking meat in his house? Because there was a lot of smoke billowing out from the roof there. That's just absurd. So I turned back around because I thought, well, maybe it's on fire. So it was a lot of smoke coming out. So I called the 911 and when your adrenaline's flowing, it just seems like it takes forever for somebody to show up. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll call Jeremy and find out if this thing's been reported yet, because I'm sitting here what seems like a half hour and nobody's here. But I would like to give Stafford Ward and his staff, a big hand, because when I look at the time when I called 911 and when I called Jeremy, when it was, Daphne was already there on site within 5 minutes of the fire. And thank God that nobody was in the house, but the house was destroyed from the fire. And it was really something, it's just big hand out to those guys. They responded fast and quick. I was impressed. But like I said, my adrenaline was flowing. It's like, why isn't anybody here? But when you look at the timelines, like they actually responded pretty darn quick.
It happens all the time when you're in those situations.
Yes.
A minute seems like an hour.
It does. The minutes turn into hours.
Right.
But when you look at it, at the record times, like, my goodness, they actually responded pretty darn fast. I was impressed.
Okay, great.
Well, on that note, if you guys don't know, this week is National Dispatchers Week. You guys know dispatchers, thank them. We hardly ever see them. Well, we see them a lot, but a lot of the people out in the community hardly see them, but they rely a lot on our 911 dispatchers, so.
Right, and
They're the
I don't think we-
unseen heroes of our
Yeah.
community.
I don't think we realize what they go through down there in the dispatch center. It's in the hole downstairs all by themselves in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden panic arises and they're having to stay calm and help people. And I'm sure it's pretty nerve wracking. So yeah, definitely want to give them.
Down in the hole is not an exaggeration either.
Yeah, it literally is.
They literally are down.
Just the amount of stress that they get put under is.
And our Traverse County dispatchers are city employees, so.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a great add-on. Any other items? KLMR and KBAY did ask if we could get somebody on at 8:30 on Friday or 8:30 on certain days. They'd like to have a rotation of the different council members. I told them 8:30 is very difficult for us to do. But I thought I would throw this out and see what does anybody want to do that at 8:30? Yeah. I can work on it with them and try to negotiate something different, or we can ask Kristen to go.
Or we could call it the clerk's corner at 8. No.
He's really ambitious. Why don't you just have Steve do it?
It's tough, Stevie. Well, I'll work with them and see if we can arrange a better time and get back with you.
I didn't have these guys.
I won't push too hard on that. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, with that said, no other items. I would entertain a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Jerry? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you very much.